did. Kathy doesn't like it, I heard.
Okay.
There we are.
And we are live here at the Raynham Town Hall for our Raynham Candidates Night 2014. Thank you all for joining us. We do have our annual town election coming up this Saturday, April 26th, and we have one contested race, but a number of people are running for re-election, or election as the case might be. And so we hope that everybody out there, all of our registered voters, make sure to go to the to cast your ballots on Saturday. There's one place to cast your ballots for all 4 precincts. Will be at the Raynham Middle School at on Titicut Road in Raynham. And according to our town clerk, Marcia Sylvia, the polling places will be open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. So hopefully everybody will do that. We have 2 candidates that are here with us right now. We do want to mention that we did pull this little candidates night together last minute. So we didn't want to miss the election and get something out there for our townspeople to see. So there were a couple of people that couldn't make it because they had prior commitments. And if they did explain that to us, we gave them the opportunity to send us a written statement. So we will read those. But first of all, with me right now is a candidate for Sewer Commission, Mr. Joseph Betancourt, and candidate for re-election, Marie Smith, for Selectman, obviously. Thank you both very much for coming.
Welcome, Pat.
The first office on the ballot is Selectman, and we have Marie Smith, candidate for re-election. So, Marie.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you very much. And how many years does this make that you have sat here and done candidates nights?
You've been doing it for quite a few years now.
We certainly have. We certainly have, and it's been a privilege, really.
Thank you.
I would like to say that it's been a privilege to have served as your selectman for the past 6 years. I did this once before, back in the late 80s and early 90s, and it was then Don Francis, Don McKinnon, and myself, and we had a pretty good board then, too. We did very well, I think. To me, being a selectman carries a great responsibility. It's a position of trust, ethics, and the ability to be logical when the situation requires it, and I've always tried my best to be that person. I will tell you that your community is fiscally sound. We had a big disappointment when the slot parlor went to Plainridge. We thought it should have gone to Raynham, but unfortunately it did not. But fortunately, we had not planned on that extra money, so we are business as usual and everything is very good. With the growing economy, our business community continues to be strong, and it is a great help to our tax base. And that's going to keep going with the help of the new bylaws that will probably, hopefully, go into effect at this new town meeting that we're going to be having in May. And that will extend Route 138, and business will then come, because we are so fortunate in this community to have those 2 tracts of business land. Other than that, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to serve you for the next 3 years, and I assure you that I will work, as I always have, with your best interest at heart.
When you're running unopposed, Marie, it is a sign that people are happy with the work that you're doing, because no one else obviously stepped forward to challenge you.
Well, thank you, Pat. I hope I have done my best for all, because I have tried. And I think we're in a pretty good shape. We really are. We stay out of the newspapers. We have no big headlines. We've got a great police and fire department. And just walk through town hall. You yourself know the people come here and they have nothing but good to say about the work ethics of the people that are here. So I think all in all, the selectmen working together the way we do, and working with other town departments, especially right now with the town planner, John Chabonneau, who is new to us. He's put together 2 or 3 different bylaws. We've got that marijuana bylaw coming up, which is a very serious issue as far as I'm concerned. I wish we didn't have to have it at all. Unfortunately, that's not the way things go. But we've worked together, and we're trying to get 138 on an even keel. And I think we're doing fine. We really are. And it's a great community anyway. It's a great community.
You think the next 3 years will be a good time for the town of Raynham?
Absolutely. Can't go anywhere but further up.
Excellent, sounds good. Even though you are running unopposed, though, I know you still like to see people turn out and cast a vote for you.
Oh, absolutely. I do not want blanks to beat me. Everybody, please go out and vote. Vote for Marie Smith, vote for the parties of your choice on the ballot, and please, please go out and vote and attend the town meeting in May. That is very important. It's your money, and you should know where we're spending it.
Okay, very good. Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much,
Pat.
Marie. Next on our ballot, we have assessor. It's for 3 years, and our current assessor, Mike Lally, after serving in this position for many years, has chosen not to run for re-election.
Correct.
So we have a candidate, John Letty, who is one of those who could not be with us this evening, but he did send me a statement, and I will read it. John W. Jack Letty has lived with his wife, Maura, and their 2 children in Raynham for over 20 years. A graduate of Bryant University, holding a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration. He is the proud owner of Duval Taunton Printing, Incorporated, located in Taunton. The business has been in his family for 3 generations for almost 100 years. He has been an active participant in both the community where he lives and where he works. He is interested in learning more about the Board of Assessors and working with the 2 people he knows and trusts in the Board of Assessors, Bill Lewis and Gordon Luciano. He appreciates the townspeople that come out to vote and looks forward to serving his constituents. He would also like to thank Mike Lally for his many years of service to the town of Raynham and hopes that he has many warm breezes and spectacular sunsets in the future. And that's signed Jack Letty, candidate for Raynham Board of Assessors. And we will try to see if we can get Jack to join us on a future program, either on the Good Old Days that Don McKinnon hosts or on the Inside Scoop, but so that people can learn more about our new assessor. But obviously, Mike Lally has done a great job for the town, and appreciate all that he has
He
done.
certainly has. We're going to miss him.
Absolutely. And next on the ballot, we have Sewer Commissioner. And we have, it's a 3-year term. Frank Cabral Jr. is a candidate for re-election, and Mr. Joseph Betancourt is a challenger. And Mr. Cabral had a previous commitment, so he could not attend this evening. He did send this statement, which I will read at this time. I'm sorry I could not attend this interview due to the short notice which conflicted with my schedule. My involvement with sewer expansion in the town of Raynham began in 1973 while I was a sewer superintendent with the city of Taunton. During the period from 1973 to 76, I oversaw a $16 million sewer expansion in the city and worked with town officials to implement federal and state grant conditions in Raynham. In 1977, I was elected to my first 3-year term on the Town of Raynham Sewer Commission, where I served for 21 years. In 1996, I presented to the town a $30 million sewer expansion program to provide sewer service to about 80% of the single-family homes in the town of Raynham. In 1997, I was appointed to the position of Raynham Sewer Superintendent to oversee the construction of 65 miles of sewer pipeline, 24 sewer pumping stations, a sewer maintenance facility, and the development of a full-time sewer department. From 1976 until my retirement in 2009, I was involved in every aspect of public and private sewer expansion in the town of Raynham. In 2013, I was appointed to the Sewer Commission to assist in the $9 million sewer expansion to complete Phase 6. In response to citizen petitions, a $2.5 million Contract 5 will encompass both the River Street and Suzanne Drive areas. Contract 5 will be contingent to the town debt exclusion vote on April 26, 2014, and the May annual town meeting. From 1984 to the present, I have also served as a Raynham Center Water District Water Commissioner. During this period, the Water District undertook several major water system improvements, including 2 state-of-the-art water treatment plants. In addition to my 34 years of service to the town of Raynham Sewer Department and 30 years of service to the Raynham Center Water District, I worked as a naval architect for 27 years with the Department of the Navy. I have also been a member of Bugles Across America since 2007 and play live taps at military funerals in southeastern Massachusetts. I am a registered professional engineer and have a BS degree in civil engineering from the University of Massachusetts. In conclusion, I believe my background brings technical balance to a truly outstanding board, and if elected, look forward to again working with the commissioners to complete the Phase 6 and Contract 5 sewer expansion projects. We already have strong finance and management experience represented on the board. The town deserves a balanced board. Mr. Cabral goes on to state that some have attempted to make an issue of sewer expansion costs not bettered, and to that extent have done a disservice to the town. He notes that if there is an issue of this during the interview, Is there an understanding of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 80 and page 15 of the Massachusetts Department of Revenue Betterment Collection Procedures and town-requested sewer projects such as the senior center that were not bettered? Also, is there an understanding of MADEP, EOEA, and MEPA mandated requirements such as the CWMP, EIR, and IMA that were required for Phase 5 and Phase 6 sewer expansion approval that could not be bettered? Again, that is the statement from Mr. Cabral. Ordinarily, we don't do that. If the candidates can't come, we regret that, but we only did it in this instance because of the fact this was put together with such late notice that we wanted to be sure everyone had the opportunity to participate in one way or another. With that, Mr. Betancourt, tell us about your background, experience, and training.
Well, I've been in the town of Raynham since 1963. My wife and I have had 4 children grow up in the town. As the kids were young, I participated with fundraisers for Little League and soccer when it first started. I was asked to sit on a building committee study by Dr. La Liberty when he was superintendent of schools, and that committee kind of evolved over the years and stayed in question until about 1995 when we actually became very active and got involved with the building of the middle school, the renovation of the La Liberty, the renovation of the Merrill, and subsequent to that, the building committee ended up doing a renovation of Sullivan into our town hall. For 11 years, I served on the school committee. And for a number of years now, I can't tell you exactly how many, but when they created the rent control board in the town of Raynham, I was one of the original 3 appointees, and I've been on the board ever since. And we've functioned as all boards have to do. We do the best we can as we can. Now, as far as why am I running for the Sewer Commission, well, I've been approached by a number of people, and they just thought that my expertise, after spending 50 years with the real estate development company, ending up as general manager and chief financial officer of the company, over a course of 35 or 40 years, we developed some 11 million square feet of commercial industrial space, owned and managed most of it, dealt with leasing, dealt with contracts, dealt with unions, and administered our annual budget, which we had to meet the nut, as the saying goes, every year, as we raised taxes in towns to pay things. And I have a different administrative skill, we would say. You know, I think that I have a different point of view as to how things could be done, not necessarily should be done, but could be done, and to make things a little bit more smooth and more open, so that everybody understands why things are done and how they're done. I will make one observation on Mr. Cabral's comment in the Gazette, and he has his right to his opinion anyways, as I have mine. He says that if he wins, it will be because of his qualifications, and if he loses, it's because of politics. One of the definitions of politics is the art and science of government, and government is elections. You go to the ballot. People choose who they want. I could also say that if I didn't get elected, it was because of politics. I should be elected because of my qualifications. And I kind of took exception to that comment in the paper, and I wish he was here that I could mention that to him. But he did put it in the paper, and politics is the art and science of governing. And elections are designed for the electorate to have their voice. As an electorate, I will elect Marie Smith, selectman. She is responsible to the needs of the electorate. I've served in the town as an appointed member of a number of different committees, as I said, appointed. Not necessarily elected, other than the school committee, but appointed. And I served at the whim and the pleasure of the appointing authority, which at the time is the selectmen. But I had to answer to the selectmen. Everybody has to answer to somebody. And some of the questions that Mr. Cabral put in his statement that has been discussed in the past, I believe, is all in the past. The question about the betterment, I think, is been put to bed. They understand what they have to do, and you move forward. I just think that I bring a different point of view, and I think I can add something to a committee that is strong and does its job, but I think a new point of view and a new opinion would be very helpful. And that's why I chose to run.
What do you see as the role of a sewer commissioner?
Well, their responsibility, actually, I had asked the town council if he would research in the statutes, the rules and regulations for commissioner, what their authority is, how far you can go, and what your limitations are. They're the overseers. They're the decision makers. They're the electorate of the sewer department. They answer to the electorate, the people who put them in. They give direction. They set policy. They probably, they go through the process of setting the rate and making sure there's adequate funds, creating a reserve so that there's money put aside in case of emergency, good physical planning. That's what the commissioners are supposed to do. And you hire the professionals who are responsible for the day-to-day operation of the sewer, the engineers, the technical people, just as they would hire outside engineers to design a system or outside law firms to interpret the law. You just give direction and you try to make everything move in a positive way.
How do you think, your accounting and financial background would be of assistance to the department?
Well, I'm sure that they have, people that are existing on the commission that have had some financial background, understanding. Mine might be a little bit more concentrated, being a major in accounting, but I think common sense, people who are watching the dollar, making sure it's not being wasted. And ultimately, the goal is to make the operation run as smoothly as possible, give the best amount of service to the customers, which are the people that are receiving the sewer, and to be fair and equitable to all of the users and the rest of the people in the town.
What about the debt exclusion question that's on the ballot, the other issue that is on the ballot?
Well, I'm going to diverse a little bit on that just to talk about the history of debt exclusion for the schools. When doing that, if you recall, we wanted to do the schools originally at Borden Colony. And we had a block of parents, primarily the people who were the sports enthusiasts of the soccer fields, who felt that it couldn't be done. And they voted down a debt exclusion for a new school over there. Well, we were fortunate enough to find the parcel of land at the end of Titicut Road. It became available and reasonable enough, and we brought it back to the town, and the people said, yes, we'll do it. And there was always a contention about who's going to support it. Well, it's funny. The seniors were the biggest supporters of the debt exclusion. The ones with the least amount of income were the biggest supporters of the debt exclusion because they felt that it was their obligation to pay it forward to the next generation, to do what people had done before them, for them. In the same way, people in Raynham who have sewer had their sewer paid for by people who didn't have sewer. So now it's their turn to pay it forward and vote for the sewer for those people who are now about to get the sewer. I would vote for an override for, if they had another override to do 100% of the town of Raynham, I would vote in favor of that, because I believe that is a very essential thing to do. People have supported us up to this point. We need to support the balance of the town in order for them to get it. So I'm 100% in favor of voting for the override.
Marie, what position is the selectman taking on that question?
I believe we are feeling the same way on that. As Mr. Betancourt has said, everyone has been paying all these years for everybody else to have it. These people have been paying too. I just wish they had done the whole rest of it and got it all over with instead of waiting now, because then they're gonna have to come back again for another debt exclusion, probably a year, 2 years down the road, in order to finish the laterals that they don't do with this particular one, you know? So I had wished just that they would have gotten the whole thing done over with all at once.
The question does say, shall the town of Raynham be allowed to exempt from the provisions of Proposition 2.5, so-called, the amounts required to pay for the bond issued in order to engineer and construct interceptor and lateral sewers in the South Raynham area of town, including the River Street and Suzanne Drive neighborhoods? Yes or no, simple majority vote is required, but then it has to go to town meeting and get approval at town meeting as well.
2/3.
2/3 at town meeting, so very interesting. Mr. Betancourt, just one more question for you too. When the town is fully sewered, looking down the road, do you think the sewer department should rejoin the highway department to become a Department of Public Works at that point?
You know, there've been talk about doing that. They've talked about merging the 2 water departments for years. That's down the road. That's in the future. Should we have a public works the department in the town of Raynham, which is responsible for the highway, which is responsible for water and sewer? That's for someone else's decision to make. I mean, does it make sense to have 4 different departments doing the same thing? I guess we didn't pay our rent, our light bill. It's the motion. There you go. Yes, and look who walked across the room that made the light appear.
Very good.
But, you know, those are things that could be discussed possibly, you know.
Future.
Yeah, I mean, it's the efficiency of the handling of it. How many times do you need you're always going to need somebody who's going to be in charge of the sewer and somebody's going to be in charge of the highway, but do you need a superintendent in both? You have you know, how much of the upper tier do you need to have? And that's where the savings would be. Who knows? You never can tell what's going to happen with this town.
What has been your campaign strategy? I know you've got some signs up around town.
Well, that has been
You're
it.
here.
I'm here, and I'll be standing out at the polls on Saturday, waving at people. I think that I'm a known commodity in the town. I've been around enough. I've been on your show a few times. I've been on with Don McKinnon on a few times. I've sat at the podium there and reported to the selectmen a number of times, so that the name and the face is familiar, and it's just ask the people who please get out and vote. Vote for the candidate of your choice, but please get out and vote, because without your vote, nobody gets elected. And if you don't vote, don't call and complain at the results, because you get exactly what you
Didn't
vote for. Yeah.
Exactly. Also on the ballot, we have for Planning Board, Russell Driscoll, who is a candidate for re-election. That's a 5-year term. For For the Bridgewater-Rainham District School Committee, we have a Raynham member and a Bridgewater member. They're both running unopposed. We are losing 2 of our members. For Raynham, our retired police chief Lou Pacheco is not running for re-election, only because he has so many other things to do. But we have Lorraine Levy, who is a parent and a longtime member of the community. I think Lorraine actually grew up in Bridgewater and has lived in Raynham with her family for many years. She has 2 children in the Bridgewater-Raynham schools. She's actually a retired state trooper and currently working as a legal assistant. And also from Bridgewater, we have Michelle Williams, who is taking the seat currently held by George Vazvatikas, who is another very busy person who's not running for re-election. And Michelle is also a parent with a child in kindergarten and a preschooler, and she's got a very strong financial background. So I think they'll both be very good additions to the school committee. They're both running unopposed. For Park and Recreation Commissioner, we have James Sullivan, candidate for re-election. It's a 3-year term. For Cemetery Commissioner, Jeffrey Kelleher, candidate for re-election. We all know, obviously, Jeff Kelleher is a member of our Raynham Fire Department and our Historical Commission. And for Housing Authority, we have a 5-year position, and there is no one on the ballot.
Oh, wow.
So if anyone is interested, they need to generate a little buzz out there in the community and get a few votes, because it only takes 3 votes to get elected to that position. So.
I'm surprised.
Mm-hmm. So again, it's Saturday, the election at Raynham Middle School, and the polls will be open from 10 a.m. until 8 p.m. All 4 precincts vote there now. Hopefully, there will be a good turnout of people. Anything else you'd like to add, Mr. Betancourt?
We're all residents of the town. We all should support the town in any way we can. At this particular point in time, you need to get out and vote. Let the people know. As Marie says, she's running unopposed. She wants to beat blanks. And I'm running opposed to Mr. Cabral, and it's your choice of which one of us you will elect. But I ask you to get out and vote. That's a privilege that we have. It's also an obligation of being a citizen in the United States in a democracy. You have an obligation to participate in your form of government. So get out and vote.
Thank you very much, and thank you for coming, Mr. Betancourt. Marie Smith, would you like to make any other comments?
The only comment I can make is, it's your town. Please, get out and vote. Give the support to the people that are doing the jobs. And that's about the size of it, I think.
If anybody is not going to be around on Saturday, absentee ballots are available at the town clerk's office until noontime on Friday. So people can certainly avail themselves of that opportunity as well.
And I'd also like to thank those that have served and are not coming back this year, such as the chief and
Mike Lally.
Mike Lally, especially Mike Lally,
Yes.
who's here all the time. Their service has been impeccable over the years, and I'd like to thank them myself personally, and I'm sure the board will do the same.
Well, Mike Lally was one of the original members of the Rent Control Board with me.
That's right.
And
way
we
back
served
then.
way back.
Very good. Well, certainly our thanks go out to him, and as you mentioned, our 2 members of the school committee
Yes.
leaving us as well. It was actually a second term for Lou, because he had served a couple of years previously, and as I mentioned the other night, he was drafted in both cases. Never really wanted to serve, but he got the draft call
Got the
and
hook.
responded. And George was only there for 3 years, but he served on many committees, including the budget committee, and
And he was very good,
very good, yes.
very good.
So hopefully going forward, and with that, I would just say, please, everybody out there, make sure you turn out to vote. We do have a couple of our selectmen in the audience, our retired selectman Don McKinnon. And Don, with our programs, we're always encouraging people to get out and vote. And currently, Mr. Shavo is here as well. I think Mr. Pacheco, Joe Pacheco, was here earlier. If I could just put a plug in too, where we have a minute.
Sure.
Another wonderful town event is our Memorial Day Parade, which we will be having again this year. It's on the Saturday of Memorial Day weekend, May 24th. 9 o'clock start time this year, and we'll be kicking off from the schools, La Liberty and Merrill, on Pleasant Street, following the same route down Pleasant Street through the Four Corner intersection, along South Main Street and over to King Philip Street, where we will conclude at the Gazebo Park, where there will be a ceremony. And we're currently looking for participants in the parade, either individuals or local businesses or organizations. We do have some participation forms. If you could send us one of those, they're available at rayvolunteercoordinator@gmail.com or through the town clerk's office, so that we can plan the parade. Retired Police Chief Peter King is our parade coordinator once again this year. So that's going to be another great event. We'll have our flags decorating the center of town once again this year.
Beautiful.
Actually purchasing, I believe, some more flags to add to the 80 that we originally set up there. So it's going to be awesome. So hopefully everybody will decorate the town red, white, and blue and turn out for that. And we've put an order in for good weather this year too.
Oh, good.
So with that, I think we will conclude and thank all of you for coming, and for those who tuned in to see this, and we hope to see you all at the Raynham Middle School to vote on Election Day. Thank you again, Mr. Betancourt and Mrs. Smith, for joining us.
Thank
and
you.
Thank all of you as well.